Hi there, Janet Fritz here for Galaxy Girl Creations. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to another day of Color Craze. Today I am participating in Series 13 of 30 Days of Sketches by Christy's Beautiful Life. So thank you for that, Christy. And the color palette that we are using are these lobster claws, which I think are fabulous. I really loved the picture and everything. Lots of inspiration there. And we are using a template from Fiddle DD Designs, which is designed by Cheryl Ashcraft. So thank you, Cheryl, for that. I am stretching this into a double pager, and I'm doing something I hardly ever do. I'm using graphic 45 paper. I do have some graphic 45 in my collection, but I don't use it often. Not just because it's super beautiful, but because I find it harder to work with because it's super busy. But I do love the papers, and I have only one sheet out of this collection that has the blue here, and I've considered both sides of it because there's jellyfish on both sides, but I'm going with the darker blue because I want it to provide a bigger contrast between that striped paper or the chevron paper, and that chevron paper is a really old Teresa Collins paper, so I'm going to use that. I'm trying to stretch it across 2 pages, so it's going to be a little bit interesting because I only have one sheet of each. I don't have 2 sheets of anything, and that's okay. You can definitely do a double pager with just one sheet of each paper. You just need multiple papers. So in order to make it look cohesive, normally I would just kind of put that chevron paper kind of offset in the middle, but I can't do that in this particular case, mostly because I have to go all the way to the edges of the circle because I don't want the white paper to show on the circle. So I am making my circle just a tiny bit bigger by backing it with this tan. It's not really cardstock because it is patterned very slightly, and the other side is patterned. So this tan paper, and I am inking everything up with some walnut stain distress ink. I know this tan paper is from, I think it was Fancy Pants Trendsetter or something like that. So I'm going to use that. Any tan would work. It doesn't have to be this one. This just happened to be the one that I had packed. I am at a retreat when I do this, so I don't really have access to go and just grab more paper out of my stash. So I'm making do with what I have. So making this circle larger is really going to help me. I'm trying to span the difference of that 12 by 12 white paper as my background. And what I'm going to end up doing is trimming my background down just a tad, so that I don't have to span quite so far, and then I will back my entire layout with an additional piece of paper or 2 additional pieces of paper to create a framework all the way around it. Hopefully that makes a bit of sense, but you can see those white gaps at the top of the paper. I don't want those white gaps to be there, so trimming this paper down so hopefully I can stretch my chevron paper a little bit further because I do want some of it on the right hand page. Because, like I said, it's a 2-page layout. I want it to be cohesive. It's not companion pages. I'm going to bunch up all my photos in the middle there. So I definitely want it to span as far as possible. So now I'm just kind of figuring out where the edge of the white paper is and how far to the left I need to go with that chevron. Now I do decide to cut a bit of a circle or a half circle out of this chevron, so in case I need a little bit more, I do have it available. Of course, it's not going to be enough to span to the opposite page, or a big enough piece to bring into the opposite page just on its own. So I was really kind of happy that I was able to push this chevron paper more towards the left or the right, and have it kind of veer on to the right hand paper. So I've got my circle down, and I just took the widest access point of the circle where it was going to cover the white background paper, and that's where I cut it. That's what made my decision for me. I didn't have anything to do with measuring or anything like that. I just put it down so that the 2 white edges, top and bottom, did not show, and then I went ahead and cut it. You can see I'm still trying to stretch this just as far as possible, and I'm also trying to get it straight on the paper because it's a chevron. It's going to show if I put it down wonky, so I don't want to do that. So now I have this maybe 2.5-inch piece of paper left. I'm going to go ahead and add that to my right hand page so that I am finished stretching it. I am aligning it with the left hand page so it looks like it was all continuous if you put it together. And I really like the way this is coming together. And I do know these are two very busy pieces of paper, but I promise it's not going to look as busy when it's all done. So I was playing with the idea of putting this down here, but the chevron paper down at the bottom, but I decided not to do that. So I'm going to pull in this blue Heidi Swap paper, and I'm going to cover the right hand side with that because I think it plays nicely off of the lighter blues that are in that graphic 45 jellyfish paper. And I really like that it's a bit distressed. That is from the Heidi Swap Set Sail collection. I bought a bunch of these sheets of paper, you guys. I really love this blue, and I think it's super versatile and very useful for so many things. I've used it so many times already. I can't even count the amount of times. Now, I did make sure that my pattern in it goes vertically instead of horizontally, simply because I already have a horizontal pattern going with that chevron, and so I wanted something to kind of be the opposite of that. And then I have this tan polka dot paper. I don't know where it's from. It's super old, been in my stash ages. I'm not even sure what is on the other side. If I even flip it over, it might just be white. I am inking that up also with some distressed walnut stain, and I want that to also span both pages because I don't want it to look like an afterthought on the right hand page. So I am crossing over to the left hand page there in the middle just a bit, and this is where I'm just trying to figure out my photo placement. I'm really kind of liking the way that this is looking. These photos are of me and the little one that I take care of, and then her mom and her sister, and this was during COVID shutdown. So we're just out at some tide pools, and it was a great place to go and hang out because there's nobody there. We were social distancing other than from each other, and it just worked really well because we were able to get out and enjoy the fresh air and do something a little bit different. The tide pools are about 45 minutes from my house, or their house, either one. And it was just really nice to be able to meet up there. In fact, my husband was there. It was the two of us going over. We invited them to join us, and it was a really nice way to spend the day. So the girls had fun looking in the tide pools and checking all of that out. I do have this acrylic piece from Some Assemblage Required. It says just add water. It's the perfect shade of blue to complement the graphic 45 paper. It actually kind of gets lost in it it's on the left hand side in that big circle, so it kind of gets lost in it, but I'm not going to use it directly on that paper, so I think it's going to work out perfectly. And then I didn't really have a lot of embellishments for this because I've used most of my underwater embellishments on previous layouts documenting a day at the beach and an aquarium and at the aquarium. So I really didn't have a whole lot to go with this, but I did recently go through a bunch of my stamps that I had at my mom's house. We're kind of downsizing the stamps, and I came across these graphic 45 stamps, and so I thought these were awesome. They're going to work perfectly. And so I'm just going to stamp every single one of them onto some white paper. Well, let me take that back. I'm going to stamp some of them onto some white paper. I didn't stamp every single stamp in the set because I think there are 2 or 3 sets of stamps, but I pick and choose which ones I want. A lot of them are very wordy, so I wanted to only put a couple of those down, and I'm just putting it on to the Hobby Lobby white photo mats that I buy in bulk. Well, I don't buy the packs in bulk, but it comes with 100 in a pack. So I buy several of those packs at a time and keep them on hand to map my photos or to do things like this. And so that is what I'm doing. And then I'm just fussy cutting out each of the images. I did not make you sit through watching me fussy cut all of those. And I know some people do enjoy watching it, but this video is already quite long. So I did not feel like you needed to spend extra time watching fussy cutting. We'll save that for a different video. I did bring a couple of dies with me. The dies are Elizabeth Craft Designs, and they are some coral designs. Now I didn't bring everything with me, so I just brought like this one die set. So I'm definitely going to use those to bring in a little bit of a peachy kind of a color, which seems kind of weird, like it's not going to match, but it does match great, and I really like the way that it turns out. I am also using some Minor 49er Shimmerz Paint, and I am just reactivating those with a little bit of water and brushing it over the top of these pieces that I just stamped. Now, my main reason that I'm changing the color is I don't have anything really that is stark white on this layout. They do need a little color added to them, and this gold from Shimmerz is very translucent, so you can totally still see the image, but it brings in that softer palette like the tans that are in the background. It also brings in some shimmer, so it kind of sparkles them up a bit, and I'm really liking the way that that looks. I also added a little bit of this navy blue, and I'm not sure, I think I have Lapis Dance right there, but it's very similar to Witch's Blue, so hard to tell on screen unless I hold up the name of it, which maybe I will do that in a moment here, I don't know. But both of them are very similar blues, and they both have sparkle in them. So I am adding a little bit of that into some of the areas on these images, just to kind of highlight different parts of it. So right over the word ocean in that rectangular piece, I am putting it on what would be the glass of the helmet, the dive helmet, and then over some of the other words and a little bit on the octopus too, just to kind of bring in a different color and a different sparkle. I'm really liking how that looks. I am now going to cut a bunch of these coral pieces to bring in an organic kind of feeling to each of my embellishment areas. And I am also going to paint those with some Shimmerz paint. Now I find that my shimmers are really great to take with me when I go on a retreat, because they all fit in one little box, and they don't take up a lot of room. They're not liquidy. At least the ones I have are not liquidy. I know some of the pots are wet inside, but the creamies and inklings are not, and so there's less weight because there's no water involved, and they dry to travel, so I don't worry about them spilling or anything. So now I am using some, I'm going to say this is, I want to say it's cantaloupe. I am actually going to check for you right now because I don't remember if it is, but I thought that's what I used. It's either cantaloupe or, yeah, it is cantaloupe. I was going to say it's either that or dandelion, but no, it's cantaloupe, and it's just this peachy color with some yellow undertones, and so I'm adding that, and then the orangier one that you see there, that one is dandelion, and so I'm adding a little of that because I don't want these to be perfectly like all the same color. I want them to have a little variation. If you've ever seen coral, it's not 100% perfectly colored, and especially when you're underwater, you definitely see the shadows and stuff of like fish going by, or yourself going by if you're a scuba diver, and all that kind of stuff. You just, they just don't look the same as the water from above hits or the light from above hits the water and filters down through. So, I don't want it to be perfect. Nothing in nature is 100% a flat one color. And that's kind of my theory for most of natural things on my layout. It's the number one reason I don't use cardstock, because for the most part, it just doesn't feel like it's a good fit for me. So anyway, I am pulling out some little tickets. Those are all from some Assemblage Required. I've received those in the monthly embellishment boxes that I get. They are little samplings from the 49 and market packs. So I don't have a ton of them because it's just a small sampling, which is really nice because then I don't have to store a ton of them. But it also gives me some to play with in a lot of varying colors because each month is a different color. And we also get stamps, the little stamps that you see on the right-hand page there. We get those in the box as well. So I really appreciate that we get those because I like to use these types of items, and it brings in a little bit of color here and there. It also was nice to bring in a little depth of color to go with the rocky beaches and tide pools there, to add that darker color of ticket. So I think it plays well with that. Now I do have my photos mostly covered so that you don't see their faces. I know there's one on the right, and then at the bottom it looks like their faces are not covered, but even in real life I can't see their faces because they are the way that her head is tipped. Her face is covered with her hair, or they're far enough away that I didn't need to really worry about it. So, and I just do that for privacy purposes. Not everybody wants their family on the internet, so that is the reason that I do that. Okay, so here I've tucked in some of the coral. I really like how that's coming together. I am going to go back and pry a little bit of those coral pieces up because I do decide that I want to add some of the 49 and Market film strip frames behind them. But I am able to kind of trim the frames so that I can tuck behind and it looks like it's all one piece without having to pull everything up. So you're going to see me do that as well. Sometimes I do wish I would wait a little bit and finish my placement before before my layout is done, or before I glue everything down. But in this case, you know, it is what it is. And it's not super hard to pick it up. I am going to use a Creative Memories multi-purpose tool to help me do that. It is more difficult to do with liquid glue than it would be with a regular glue, but the liquid glue was not 100% dry, so that kind of helped me out. I am putting some foam onto the back of a couple of these pieces to give a little dimension, and I like how that looks. And I'm just using my acrylic block to help hold everything down. Now here's where I decide I need to add a little journaling space. And so I am going to trim this white paper and hopefully get the right angles so that I can tuck it under this piece on the left-hand side so I can add a little bit of journaling. Now I don't want to cover up a lot of that beautiful blue paper, but I think you still get the idea, and this will provide me an area to do a little journaling. And this is where I decide I need to add some of these blue film strips, and I think these are from the 49 and Market, I want to say Inkwell collection. I'm not 100% sure on that because again, these came in the monthly embellishment box from some Assemblage required, so you just get a smaller sampling of them. Again, like I said, I really like that because I don't have an overwhelming amount of them, and I get to try them out, and I get them in a variety of colors because I get them each month. So in case you are interested in that box, I'll put a link down below for you so that you can check that out. And in fact, links to any of the products that are still available, I will link down below for you. While I do that, don't forget to go check out what everyone else is doing for today's sketch. There will be a link to a playlist down below so you can check that out, and a link to MK's channel because she too is playing along with Color Craze. Now I'm imagining her channel will also be linked up to the playlist for 30 Days of Sketches because we're both playing along with that. But if you just want to go direct to her channel for today's Color Craze, that's linked down below for you. Okay, here's where I'm just trying to figure out, is this actually going to work or is it not going to work? I was hoping I wouldn't rip up that coral, but worst case scenario, I have the die. It's not my only piece. It was cut on white paper, and I can just add a little bit more of the Shimmerz paint and redo it and tuck them under, and I don't think anybody would even know because I would put it right over the spot that it was in originally. But I didn't have to do that because I was able to pull it up no problem. Now I do have this stamp that has a little wave design on it, and I'm going to bring that in to that white piece of paper so that it has a little bit of the same feel because it is from that one of those same Graphic 45 stamp sets. That is it, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you have questions or comments, go ahead and leave those down below. I'll get back to you as quickly as I can. If you enjoyed this video, hit the thumbs up, and if you're not already subscribed, I'd love for you to subscribe to my channel as well. I will be back again on Wednesday with another video for you guys, and I will see you then. Bye-bye.